Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Hello, you made the trip to Eugene Cannabis TV. We got some stories out of Oregon right here to talk to you about, and a little bit of news about Tommy Chong. And I wanted to be sure, before we get started with that, I wanted to talk about our local newspaper, the Oregon Cannabis Connection. The latest, the April-May issue is out now, and the summer issue will be coming. Get a hold of us here through our email. We can tell you how you can pick one of those up, or you can just go out to Voter Power. It's 687 River Avenue. Tuesdays and Fridays between 4 and 6. Also, we got the West Coast Leaf that just came in, the summer issue on that. So those are two great newspapers, a lot of good information in them. So first I want to talk about Kitzhofer named Rosenblum for Oregon Attorney General. This is good news, something that we'd been working on. Ellen Rosenblum ran against Dwight Holder, who actually, they both have been U.S. attorneys. But anyway, Holder is the one that led the raids on the Southern Oregon patients and caused a lot of havoc and caused a lot of problems with the good people in Southern Oregon. And he is a Republican from out of state, been here a couple of years, changed over to Democrats so he could run in the primary against Ellen Rosenblum. So once the movement found out that Ellen Rosenblum supported medical marijuana, the movement got behind her and really helped, and she was able to win that primary. So Ellen Rosenblum, the leading candidate for Oregon Attorney General, will be taking the job early. Governor John Kitzhofer said he'll appoint the former judge to succeed John Kroger, who is resigning to become president of Reed College in Portland. Rosenblum will be sworn in as Oregon's first female attorney on June 29th. Kroger, a Democrat, decided last year not to run for re-election as a result of a health condition he hasn't disclosed publicly. Now, I'd like to insert there, I was at a city club and I had the opportunity to ask him a question. I asked him if he would legalize, if he would support legalization of marijuana. His answer was, well, no, he wouldn't, because he had a 11-year-old son named Isaiah or something like that, and he didn't want him to grow up in a world where drugs were easily obtainable. So, of course, I didn't get a chance to rebut him, but I would have immediately pointed out to him that he's already in that position. And but anyway, and the other thing that I always find interesting is that he is quitting the. When a candidate runs for an office, I believe they should fill out that term. I mean, they took on the job, they should see it through to the end. But Kroger, along with Sarah Palin and a few others we could mention, didn't bother to finish out their term. They just decided to quit. So Kroger, supposedly it's a health condition, that's why he's quitting early. But yet, he's going to turn around and he's getting a job with the as a president of Reed College. So he apparently is going to be too sick to continue being Attorney General, but he's going to be well enough to be a president of one of our largest universities in Oregon. So anyway, back to the story. Rosenblum won the Democratic nomination for Attorney General last month. This fall, she's expected to face Republican James Buchel, a Portland attorney who launched a write-in campaign for the party's nomination after nobody stepped up to be on the primary ballot. I look forward to going to work on behalf of the citizens of our great state, Rosenblum said in a statement. I am committed to making sure the Office of Attorney General is dedicated to doing what is best for all Oregonians. Rosenblum was a federal prosecutor in Eugene and Portland for 9 years before she was appointed a Multnomah County trial judge in 1989. She became an Oregon Court of Appeals judge in 2005 and retired from the bench last year. This is a historic moment, Kitzhofer said. Throughout her career, Ellen has been an advocate for the people of Oregon. The Attorney General runs the Oregon Department of Justice, which is responsible for collecting child support, providing legal advice to state agencies, enforcing consumer protection laws, and helping district attorneys with criminal prosecutions. The Democrat primary was dominated by a discussion of medical marijuana, and drug policy groups contributed about a fourth of her campaign funds. Rosenblum said she'd make marijuana enforcement a low priority. But drug laws are a tiny portion of the Attorney General's workload, and Rosenblum said other issues were more important. She said she wants to focus on giving high-quality legal advice to the state and protecting vulnerable citizens. Ellen will be a fantastic Attorney General, and we'll all work to make sure she has a smooth transition, Kroger said. So, good riddance to Kroger, and let's hope that Rosenblum lives up to the hype and hopefully will protect the medical marijuana patients and do a much better job for us. And another story out of Portland, this is really exciting. Senator Ron Wyden is to introduce a hemp amendment to the Farm Bill. Ron Wyden will be introducing a hemp farming amendment to the Farm Bill that will allow U.S. farmers to once again grow industrial hemp. This is a historic opportunity to finally bring hemp farming back to farms in the United States. So they're asking for people to write or call their U.S. senators and tell them to support the Wyden hemp amendment to the Farm Bill and support a sustainable future for U.S. farmers. So this is from votehemp.com. It's an excellent organization working on the hemp issues. Speaking of hemp, don't forget the Empire Hempfest. That's July 20th through the 22nd at the Maury Jacobs Park in Eugene. And our poster just came out, and we're really proud to get that out to the public. This is the first year that we've had our poster ready this early and with the bands on it, and it's ready to distribute. So this year is looking really good. The I-24 campaign, which is the Citizens for Sensible Law Enforcement, it's essentially a legalization initiative, has over 150,000 signatures, but they need another 35,000 to make sure they have enough to compensate for any bad signatures that they have. So they're asking for some more help. They got to be turned in by the 1st of July. And so if you haven't signed that yet, get a hold of him. That's at the endprohibitionagain.com, endprohibitionagain.com, and you can download a single signature sheet, or you can download the 10 signature sheet and gather signatures and have your friends sign it too. So we definitely need your help on that. So again, that's up to the 1st of July. So we're still working on that and getting that passed. Colorado and Washington have legalization initiatives on the ballot. We'll be on the ballot in November. Oregon has 2 that are close, I-24 and I-9. So both actually should support them. Octa is number 9, and the other one I mentioned, I-24. And a real interesting story came out of Connecticut. Connecticut becomes the 17th medical marijuana state. So there's an update. Anybody ask you how many states are medical marijuana states? The new number is 17. It says Governor Daniel Malloy, Democrat, last Friday signed into law the medical marijuana bill, House Bill 5389, passed last month by the legislature, making Connecticut the 17th state to legalize the medicinal use of the herb, along with the District of Columbia. Now licensed physicians will be able to prescribe it to adults suffering from specified diseases or medical condition. By the way, that's the 17th state along with the District of Columbia, so it's like 17 plus, I guess you'd say. Under the new law, patients must receive a written recommendation from a physician and register with the Department of Consumer Protection. Patients and their primary caregivers can possess up to a 1-month supply, although how much that is yet to be determined. It will be decided by a board of 8 physicians. Side note there, that would make me a little nervous, but we'll see how that works out. Qualifying conditions include cancer, glaucoma, AIDS, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, damage to the nervous tissue of the spinal cord, epilepsy, wasting syndrome, Crohn's disease, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other medical conditions, treatments, and diseases. Again, side note there, post-traumatic stress disorder. That is excellent. As far as I know, that's only the second state that actually has that as a condition. New Mexico, I believe, is the other one. Patients will be able to, and this is the part that bothers me, patients will be able to obtain their medicine at licensed dispensaries. Only certified pharmacists may apply to run the dispensaries. I'm a little bit curious about that, because if there's a certified pharmacist and they deal with prescription drugs, I don't think they're going to want to mess with the state law regarding medical marijuana, because I believe that they would be concerned that they could lose their federal license over that. I don't know. It remains to be seen, but that's come up in Oregon, and it was decided that we couldn't try to put it through dispensaries. I mean, through pharmacies anyway. So I don't know. We'll see how that works out. I said these dispensaries will be supplied by at least 3, but no more than 10 licensed medical marijuana growers, each of which will pay a fee of $25,000. We don't want Connecticut to follow the path pursued by some other states, which essentially would legalize marijuana for anyone willing to find the right doctor and get the right prescription. Malloy said, "In my opinion, such efforts run counter to federal law. Under the law, however, the Department of Consumer Protection will be able to carefully regulate and monitor the medicinal use of this drug in order to avoid the problems encountered in some other states." Passage of the law comes after years of work by patients and advocates, including seeing an earlier version of the bill passed by the legislature only to be vetoed by then Governor Jody Arell, Republican. Republican. Surprise. So that's great news, and so that's our 17th, I guess 17th plus state has medical marijuana. There was a t-shirt vendor here in Eugene years ago that used to put out t-shirts with the map of the United States on them, and each state that had medical marijuana law, they had the medical marijuana symbol in it, and then below the map it said, fill in the blanks. So I'd like to see that shirt done again today with all 17 plus DC on it. That would be something to have or see. And I came across this, it was a little bit disheartening. Tommy Chong is using pot to treat prostate cancer. Tommy Chong has revealed he has prostate cancer. Chong, part of the comedy duo Cheech and Chong, told CNN on Saturday that doctors diagnosed him about a month ago. Chong said his cancer is a slow stage 1 and he's had for a long time. The marijuana-loving Chong announced the news in an interview about decriminalizing marijuana use and sales. "I've got prostate cancer and I'm treating it with hemp oil, with cannabis," Chong, 74, said. "So legalizing marijuana means a lot more to me than just being able to smoke a joint without being arrested." Chong said he initially saw symptoms 8 years ago while he was behind bars for selling drug paraphernalia. During that period, he was drug-free for 3 years, he said. "So I know it had nothing to do with cannabis," he told CNN. "Cannabis is a cure." Chong said nowadays he doesn't smoke marijuana. Instead, he ingests the hemp oil at night, so I won't be woozy all day. I'm taking it as a medicine. Chong and his acting partner, Cheech Marin, rose to fame in the early 1970s with a series of comedy albums leading up to their 1978 film Up in Smoke. Chong had a recurring role on The 70s Show and last year voiced a part in the animated feature Hoodwinked 2, Hood versus Evil. So we certainly hope the best for Tommy Chong. I got a chance to speak to him briefly at the Normal Conference, and I was delighted to find out that that is Tommy Chong. That Tommy Chong that we see on TV and in the movies, he's not acting. That's just Tommy Chong. That's the way he is. He's very witty and a lot of fun to be around. And then we have another poll. This is always good news. Another poll shows majority supports legalizing marijuana. Anybody, a regular show, a listener or a viewer of their show might think, oh, he's doing that same story again. Well, no, it's a different story. It's a different poll. This one is an Angus Reid public opinion poll released Wednesday. It's just the latest to show majority support for marijuana legalization. The poll had support for legalization at 52% with 44% opposed. That's in line with the Rasmussen poll released a couple weeks ago that had support for legalizing and regulating marijuana at 56%, and also in line with other recent polls that show legalizing legalizing, gaining majority support and trending upward. In the Angus Reid poll, majorities of men, 60%, independents, 57%, people under 55, 54%, and Democrats, 54%, supported pot legalization, while people over 55 were 48%, women 45%, and Republicans 43% were less likely to support it. So, of course, that's not a surprise to see the Republicans 43%, let's see, people over 45 is at 48%. I'm certainly over 55, so I'm in the, I guess I'm in the minority on that, or majority on that. Well, anyway, marijuana legalization is on the ballot this year in Colorado and Washington, with signature gathering campaigns for more legalization initiatives still underway in Michigan, Montana, Nebraska, and Oregon. The West has generally shown higher levels of support for legalization than the rest of the country, but Angus Reid has not made a geographic breakdown of support available for this poll. While a majority supports marijuana legalization, that's not the case for other drugs. Only 10% would support legalizing ecstasy, 9% cocaine, 8% heroin or crack cocaine, and 7% meth. But 2/3, 66%, think the war on drugs is a failure, while only 10% think it has been a success. I thought that was pretty comical. 10% thinks the drug war has been a success. Let's see, and that's another, I thought, looking at this, you know, you're thinking, oh, say 2/3 think the war on drugs is a failure, and yet the people that don't think that we should legalize, I don't know, what's their solution? Of course, the reason the drug war, the reason the drugs are so cost so much is because they're prohibited. Hello, so if you legalize, it's going to get cheaper. But anyway, still 68% thought America has a serious drug problem that affects the whole country. 1/5, 20%, thought drug problems were limited to specific areas and people, while 5% thought America doesn't have a drug problem. The poll was an online survey of a representative sample of 1,017 American adults with a margin of error of plus or minus 3.1%. So anyway, that's excuse me, quite an improvement. When I started out as an activist, I remember it was in the mid-30s. So to see it come up that much in that time of frame, or in that length of time, definitely is heartening. So I'm hoping that, I like to say that the economy is helping for one. People are realizing we've got to cut back, and they're realizing that the war on drugs is not cost effective. Plus the fact that we have history that we can now point back and say, well, this is what's happened, and now look where we're at. And so anyway, like I said, things are looking better now than they've ever looked, at least as far as legalization, I believe. And I tell people we're making 3 steps forward and 2 back, but we are moving forward. So it just doesn't seem like it all the time. And then another issue, and this is really close to the heart of a medical marijuana patient, especially an activist, the way the government, the federal government, is coming down on medical marijuana patients. And one of the latest is that the Attorney General, Eric Holder, is accused of lying on the medical marijuana crackdown. He appeared before the House Judiciary Committee and defended his Justice Department's crackdown on medical marijuana cultivation and distribution. Holder told committee members the agency was only targeting those medical marijuana businesses that were acting out of conformity with state law. That had medical marijuana defenders up in arms at what they called his falsehoods. Advocates pointed to numerous dispensaries and other medical marijuana-related enterprises that were operating in compliance with state laws and with the support of local elected officials that have been raided by the DEA or subjected to other federal enforcement actions. Holder's comments came in response to questioning from Representative Gerald Nadler, a Democrat out of New York, who pointed out that during his 2008 election campaign, Barack Obama had promised that he wouldn't use Justice Department resources to try to circumvent state laws on this issue. Holder agreed that the Justice Department had broken with Bush administration policy and promised not to go after people operating in compliance with state laws. But large-scale growers and dispensaries have come up with ways in which they are taking advantage of these state laws and going beyond that which the states have authorized, Holder added. Those are the only cases we've been going after. Holder pointed out that since 2009, the DEA and federal prosecutors have raided almost 200 dispensaries and growers and indicted more than 60 medical marijuana providers on federal drug charges, and again asked Holder to clarify. Holder responded that the Justice Department is only going after those individuals and organizations that are acting out of conformity with state laws. Holder added, however, that in some cases, mainly in Colorado, the department was also targeting dispensaries located too close to schools. Those enforcement actions were taken not because the dispensaries were violating state laws, but because they were inside the 1,000-foot range specified by an enhanced federal sentencing statute. Holder lied to the House Judiciary Committee in saying the Justice Department was only going after dispensaries and growers that were not in compliance with state laws, California Normal retorted bluntly. The Justice Department's bad faith seriously impugns the credibility and the competence of Attorney General Holder and his administration. Steph Scherer, Executive Director of Americans for Safe Access, was only slightly more politic. What he said to our congressional representatives should be alarming not only to medical cannabis patients, but also to policymakers and the general public. Because of all the available information we have, it surely must be a lie, she wrote in the Huffington Post. The Marijuana Policy Project was a bit more diplomatic. The problem with the Holder statement is that the federal government's determination of compliance with state law is still fairly ambiguous, even arbitrary, MPP spokesman Morgan Fox told the Chronicle. This makes it difficult for medical marijuana providers to know if they are safe, creating a chilling effect on the entire industry and resulting in pain, suffering, and potential danger for patients forced to resort to the illicit market. And side note, by the way, that's what's happening right now in Southern Oregon after the feds busted a bunch of compliant Oregon medical marijuana patients, like I mentioned earlier. So anyway, it just keeps going on. So anyway, it's the statewide crackdown has been going on since October, when the state's 4 U.S. attorneys jointly announced their campaign to rein in the industry. It's simply not believable that all of these tax-paying businesses were operating in violation of state law, Scherer noted, before asking a series of pointed questions. If they were, why didn't the state take part in the raids? Why didn't the state or local authorities issue or arrest warrants? Why should state and local politicians stand up for businesses breaking state and local laws? So anyway, the government is lying again, so it's just like the sticker says, you know. And as I was preparing this story, a raid alert going on right now. This was as of this morning, El Camino Wellness Center, Sacramento, California. So it's continuing. Thanks for catching up on the cannabis news. You got Dank here and the Eugene Cannabis TV. So every Monday night, 6:30, come on down behind Sheldon High School and say hi. I'll say bye. See ya.
I mean, herbs are good for everything.
ups and downs. Fat comic, we tickled inside. Say no to cutting up lines, that's 1.21 gigawatt jive. And I ain't no Nancy Reagan, just saying kinda take it slow. Say yeah to the jazz cigarettes, say no to the thrills of pills and blow. Teen is about getting beat down, and your 20s about smoking them pounds. Stick around for the sticky amounts, like a big till you're stuck to the couch. I'm the sativa cyborg, I smell that shit like a wine cork. I hope they never legalize in high times, whatever you fight for. I used to smoke with kids and shows, but it's not cause they all had colds. But I got emergency and I'm back oldies, and my trees will all get stoned. Weed is by my side, it's always been there, always been there, always been there. Weed is by my side, it's always been there, always been there, always been there. Weed is by my side, it's always been there, always been there, always been there. Weed is by my side, it's always been there, always been there, always been there. I still show you a friend of mine, handshake with a prize inside. These are bad against hallucinogens, these whammies are weaponized. LSD and shrooms, I tried them, was a time when I wouldn't deny them. All you need's one trip where you lose your shit, kiss goodbye to the sky with diamonds. But I keep coming back like Atkins fat, cause the weed's like crack cocaine. But the risk that you take is just getting baked, you're surely gonna see the next day. They say we fund Al-Qaeda, sounds like the government's jealous. Let's get the enemy stone, bring the ninjas home to help a Christian zealots. Cause all we need is some weed and a laid back beat, black lights if you stereotype. Couple beanbag chairs and a lack of airs, a marathon of Price is Right. With the 411 for realsies, I freeze my Reese's